Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the special call meeting, June 21st, 2022 at 9 a.m. Call this meeting to order. If you will, please silence your cell phones and any other electronic devices. Next item is to adopt the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Item number 3, new business, discussion of local option sales tax redistribution.
Shelby, you want me to start everything off?
That would be great.
Okay. Yeah.
You need one?
Yeah, okay. Ready to go. Good morning. Appreciate everybody being here today. For Georgia law, we are required to meet and renegotiate local option sales tax once every 10 years, and that at least, and that is the after the census, and that's why we're here today. And what I'm going to do is to give just kind of a brief overview of local option sales tax for everybody. I'm sure everybody's well aware of it, so I'm not going to go into great detail. And then we'll talk about some of the things and where we are today. Of course, local option sales tax is, as I've already said, has to be renegotiated every 10 years. There are some definite timetables that have to be met with this. Today we're having our first formal meeting, and this was required before July the 1st of 2022. And today will mark our calendar going forward with a 60-day period that we have to be able to negotiate this agreement. If we fail to negotiate the agreement within 60 days, then we have to go into arbitration or mediation in order to be able to deal with the scenario. And if that doesn't work, and we cannot reach an agreement by December the 30th of 2022, then of course at that time, we'll lose our local option sales tax. But I will say that's not going to happen here. We're all going to work together, and we're going to try to move forward to get all of this taken care of, and I believe we can do it. Now, the reality is, under Georgia law, the agreement only has to be between the county and the cities that constitute 50% of the population. And here, of course, that is Manchester. But while that's the way the law reads, Meriwether County has been working, and we have met with all the cities except for Woodbury and Pine Mountain. And Pine Mountain is very small, and Woodbury we just could not get scheduled. We did that because they are part of our community. All the cities are, and they're an important part of our community. And we felt like it was important to meet with them to discuss the needs and concerns. And so one of our goals going in, of course, was to continue to develop a formula that'll treat all the cities fairly. And looking back to 2012, it was pretty fair process between division with the cities. I have worked in some other areas where that was not necessarily the case. And in order to be sure that we were looking at fairness across the board, we went back and just started out with our use of the population, percent population, as a methodology of starting our informal and now formal discussions. And that's not really what our intention was to end. It was just a place where we could put everybody back on the normal starting positions. And so that's what we have done. And we've changed a lot since 2010. And some cities have grown, some have lost population. Overall, the county lost just a little bit. Now, the county itself, unincorporated, went up by 1.8% of the overall population. We had some of the smaller towns, Gay and Lone Oak, went up. But then we had some losses, some of them pretty substantial. Manchester, for example, dropped from 19.61 down to 17.39. And that's purely based upon the, census populations. So what we have looked at is several scenarios. We have and everybody maybe should have a copy of this, of all the cities. Okay, we can get you a copy of, this is our lost, okay, let me get you this better with you. I'd be happy just to walk through them if y'all would prefer that.
However you want to do it.
Okay. Well, let's just walk through them. If we look at the just pure loss, this is what the percentages would be. This is just using population, okay? It would be 66.82 to the county, 0.54 to Gay, which is up from 0.47, 3.85 for Greenville, which lost a little bit in overall population. Lone Oak would go from 0.43 to 0.56. Luthersville from 4.05 to 3.77. Manchester 1961 to 1739. Pine Mountain would stay basically the same. Warm Springs would go from 1.97 to 2.25 because it did show a growth. And of course, Woodbury would almost remain the same at 4.46 versus 4.4. Now, again, that's using just straight population. And that's not what we have historically done. In 2012, the increases to the cities really went anywhere from 1.12% up to a max of 1.157%. So all of them were in that 12 to 15% rate. And Allison will have some copies in a minute, but we've added a scenario if we added 10% to the population, and what if we added 15% to the population, understanding the city's needs. And I know there's 8 criteria you have to go through, and we've looked at all of those, and they've been looked at in the past in terms of what our percentages need to be. And we've had, of course, I met with one city who had gotten some bad information for somebody and said we were going to, cut all the cities and force them to raise taxes. That's never been our objective. Our objective is to try to divide the local option sales tax up fairly. And we do feel like that we've got several scenarios to put on the table today. And we hope that the cities will find those, agreeable. And we're here to discuss it, and we'll be happy to take any feedback that you guys have. Oftentimes I think everybody thinks, well, the county is bigger. It's got money. It's got more workers. And while that is true, we also have more liabilities as well. We were looking just the other day at our road liability, and the road liability here is phenomenal. But another thing I failed to mention is local option sales tax is a program where we collect the sales tax, and unlike the SPLOST and the T-SPLOST, this is to be used to roll back the property tax. It saves the taxpayers dollars in terms of rolling back the reduces the millage rate. You develop the gross millage rate, and then you subtract this to get your net millage rate. So if this goes away, whatever it's producing millage rate wise would have to be added to the millage rate. The cities, the county, whoever would have to make up that population percentage. Now, another thing I did, and Allison doesn't even have this, I just did this last night. I went back because I'd heard some things, well, let's just keep it like it was. Well, the city gave up 5% last time of its percentage, which was actually equated to about 15% for the cities. If we did the same thing this time around, the city would end up being at 16.67. And of course, I've calculated all of the cities down from there. So we're really going to be very close to what our 1.15% scenario is. Now, this would reduce the county from 66.82 down to, again, by a little over five percentage points. We think that's maybe fair to help with our cities, but we don't think that the county should take any lower than that. And also the percentage we took back in 2012 was 60%. And I've heard suggestions that maybe we just need to stay with that. But the county has continued to, to have expenses. We have actually grown in overall population. So I don't really feel like it's fair for us to continuously make that cut and continue to reduce the percentage the county gets, because this is a tax that is for the taxpayers. It goes back and it reduces the property tax. I live outside of the city limits of any city, but I shop in the cities. I shop in Luthersville a lot, and I shop in Greenville a lot. And of course, when I shop here and all my neighbors shop here, we feel like that it's advantageous because we're getting advantage of the local option sales tax too. So, Michelle, anything else you need to add to that before we?
This is the recommendation, the 1.15%.
That would be my recommendation, but that would be my max recommendation. And that would actually give the cities what they, the percentage they had before, or a little bit more. It would leave the county with 61.59, which is basically 1.5% over what we got last time. But it still means that we're cutting from 66. So we're giving up over 5% back to the cities. And Bill, you think that's your perspective? I think you and I talked about it a little bit. Give us a little bit of an increase. And
a little bit's better than none.
A little bit's better than none.
I like the full 65.
Right.
Do we have a projection of what it may be? You know how we do the projections on the, and if everybody can keep down, we'll let you have a conversation in just a minute, but so that we can make sure this is for the record.
Well, the sales taxes continue to grow despite downturns in the economy. Right. Bill, we're collecting right now. Do you remember, buddy, what just on SPLOST, because that'd be
this time out on the SPLOST?
Yeah, about 120 a month on that. And of course, this, unlike SPLOST, I think SPLOST comes directly to, you distribute it back out to the cities. This distribution goes directly to the cities. And of course, over time, we're going to continue to grow. There's several new businesses coming into the county. The county is poised for growth. Mr. Buster and I were down end of last week looking at some things down in the Flint River that's going to enhance tourism, going to enhance a lot of activities here. And so it's going to go up. So if you've got the same percentage today, while you'll be getting the same percentage 2 years from now, I sure hope that based on history that number is going to grow and you're going to actually get more money. In fact, some of the folks that I know in one other jurisdiction I worked in, they ended up with basically the same numbers, same percentages they had 10 years ago, but their revenues were up substantially over that period of time, but they'd gone up every year. And Bill, do you have any idea what our growth would have been in the revenue over the last, say, 5 or 6 years of time? I know we've gone up every year, and we exceeded what we anticipated. Yeah, but it's going to continue to grow as the county continues to grow and as the cities continue to grow. You will see more and more, sales tax come into the community. So,
Mr. Gilley.
Yes, sir.
An observation of what you're saying there, and looking at the projection, inflation is going to help give us a few more dollars in
Right.
the budget, but by the same token, those dollars are not going to buy anything.
Well, that is true, and that, of course, I wish here on the local level we could do something with that, but because I think we could come up with better solutions than what's being proposed now. And we can talk about regressing on that a little bit. We talk about interest rates and raising the interest rates to cut down. The one key factor in that no one really wants to talk about is fuel prices. Okay, I spent $20 in Luthersville this past weekend to put fuel in my lawnmower to cut my grass. Okay, $20. While I was there, I decided to go ahead and fill up the truck and get some diesel. I ended up with $110 worth of fuel sales. Raising the interest rate's not going to do a lot for that. And people still have to have it. That still, pricing still gets passed along to consumers. So you are right. But one of these days, I hope our great nation will reverse the free fall that we're in, and that'll become better. So, other questions?
So do all the cities have a copy of the proposed?
Do y'all have a copy of the 15% proposal? Okay. And let me talk about where we go from here, and then we'll open it up for discussion. Today we have some documents to head to the city. We have an intergovernmental agreement which will set this agreement needs to be executed by all the cities. We also have a resolution that the cities will need to pass, and then I think we have another. Just a blank one, okay. So that's what we have to be able to pass out to the cities today, just to keep them from having to reinvent the wheel. We have also notified the Georgia Department of Revenue of our meeting today. So again, as I said earlier, our 60-day clock is underway and moving right now. So, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that if there are no other questions, maybe we get some just feedback from the cities to see how they feel about it. And
Any commissioners have any comments? I'll open it up to any city member that wants to speak.
What was help me understand I guess there are pros and cons for everything, so I guess this would be up to me. What's the problem with the 60 and 40%?
Well, Charlene, the problem with the 60 and 40% was that the county, back when we were using 60%, had given up about 5%. So if you hold that, and while that was happening, the county grew from 65% up to 66%. So we gained another 1.81% of the population. So there was more population in the county overall than there was 10 years ago. And so my point on the 60 is we just can't continue to have that, because the more citizens you have in the county, and we have more now, more percentage now than we did back in 2010, the more money we have to spend on that. And so if we still keep the 5% reduction that we did years ago, we'll still be at the 60. We'll be at the proposed 61.59. We'll still be giving away over 5% of our percent or unincorporated percentages back to the city, and this will help the cities. Whether or not the cities grew, or whether or not the cities lost population, it will actually help, and it's a better percentage for the better part than what the cities got in 2012, because at that time you got your population percentage plus, I'll just use Greenville for example, you got 1.1505, so you would be right on track. But we had Manchester got 1.11, so so we're talking about putting it at 1.15 for everybody.
So are you saying that as the population grows, the tax revenue for the county grow also?
As population grows, yes, ma'am. I mean, you got more people to spend money, but you also got more people to take care of too. What we did with this was we went back from the start and we said, okay, back in 2010, we had 21,992 was our population. And we dropped to 20,613 in 2020. And what we did was we went back and determined what percentage of that 20,000 lives in each city, and what percentage lives in unincorporated county. And the percentage of that lives in unincorporated county was 66.82%. So the percentage that lived in unincorporated county back in 2010 was 65%. So we went up, again, by 1.81%. And so the issue with 60 is that we've got more people to take care of now in the unincorporated area. And if we keep dropping back to the 60, it's just going to be, we're continuing to decline. My point is, let's give up about what we give up last time, which is 5% or so. Get all of the cities that 15% over their population. So that way, while the county is not getting, it's the only one giving away money. Everyone else is getting their population plus 15%. And the county is going to get its population minus 5.33%. So the county is taking a deduction
I
to,
guess my concern is, and I'm new at this, because I've never gone through a lot before, but, excluding the other 6 mayors, I'm fighting for Greenville now.
right,
Because the county prevents probably Greenville's population from growing, because of all the fine land that it has, all of the land that you take up. So we can't grow too much in population. I mean, and I know this is wishful thinking, we could have, say, more housing if the county didn't own so much of our land. But then I was told, with every municipality has to get the same, I guess, percentage. So I can't get any more funds. But
Right.
yet, I'm housing more county.
yes, ma'am. Well, this is actually not a matter of the digest or how much land is. It's a matter of the sales tax that comes. And while your population under the new census is 3.85, under the proposal that we're doing, you'd be getting 4.43%. So you would actually, instead of getting the 3.85, it's going to go to 4.43. So you'll be getting more, 15% more than what you would have got under the 2022, lost if we'd have used just population. So I do think that through time, you'll see some of the properties. We've sold some properties up here on McLaughlin Road. There's some other options, I think, here that will put some of those lands back on the tax digest. And a lot of those are in the city.
Mr. Jay, I think
Yes.
something we don't want to lose sight of is the fact that the laws is to give the taxpayer.
That's right.
Is to help them. Well, if you try to go out and do the taxpayers only, that becomes a clerical nightmare. So the closest thing to it is population.
Right.
Probably not the most equitable, but the closest thing that we can use to do that.
Yeah. Because you have a certain number of people and
I understand the population.
but
Why are you doing it on population?
Yeah.
I guess I didn't understand how the population for the county would actually give us more tax revenue.
yes, ma'am.
Until you explain, even though you live in the county, you shop in the municipality.
Right.
Yes, because, when you look at the overall county number, the number went from 21,990 now to 20,000, overall
Right.
county population, decreased 6.2%.
Right.
And so, I would contend that, also serve all the cities, all the citizens in the entire county, which, has a 6.2% decrease. And so, in your overall budget, which everything that you do, just like with Manchester and all the rest of us, we all have decrease in population, sir.
Right.
So I just ask that, that we all not lose sight of that fact. If you just look at the unincorporated, it appears that the county's population has gone up, but in reality, it has not gone up. It's down 6%. And so you can make a case that, increasing the county's revenue just to provide service to the unincorporated, it's a little bit disparate.
Well, if we are going by the actual population part, we would get 66.82%.
Yeah, that's right.
Doing it the way we're doing it, we're getting 61.49. So we're giving back 5.33%.
And even if you look at the population, the county population lost too. Okay, we lost population, but we didn't lose population as much of a percentage as some of the other locations. That's why we ended up, when you redistributed it based upon those population numbers, we ended up with 66.82% of the population overall, where we only had 65% of that back 10 years ago. And, but we're trying to protect the cities by saying, look, we understand, we appreciate it, y'all are part of us. We're willing to take what we've got and also share that with, the cities. We're giving away basically 15% more to the cities. And our percentage of that to accomplish that for you guys goes from 66.82 down to 61.49. So we are taking a cut to try to help all the cities. And when we do that, we're using the census numbers as the basis to help the cities, and then we're multiplying that times the 15%. That way we can treat everybody all across the board, fairly. And I know there's a lot of plans. I've heard of, there's a lot of plans in the county. I know there's a lot of plans in several of the cities, and we understand that. When that comes to fruition, it may change things next time we redo this. But in the interim, there's we really need to use the most accurate information we have. Now, there's another thing that we can work on as well, and that is our service delivery. We've done some work on that, but we could do more with that. I'll just use I won't use any one city. I'll just use City X. If they're paying right now to have their roads evaluated to set up for contracting, the county can help you with that. Kathy, I think, did we help you guys this past year? So it saves you that engineering cost of having to hire an engineer to put your bid package together, because we'll put the bid package together with our team, and we'll bid it as part of the overall bid, which gives you a bigger number to play on, and a lot of times you'll get a better price. And also you avoid mobilization, which is a big part of a small job, because what they'll do is they'll get your project while they're getting the county's projects in the area, or they'll get your projects while they're working and moving from, say, Woodbury to Manchester. So that's one of the things we can do to help you guys, and we're willing to do it, because we already have the templates, we already have formulas, and I mean, we'll do it for, I'm committing to more, but we'll do it for free, where you don't have to, go out and hire an engineer to do this and get the same product. So there's just a lot of little things I think we can do. We're already doing that with some, and so that would be something that I would throw out that we could also do to help you guys in-house. Because I know all of you are facing, some economic issues, just like the county. And I think another thing is that, did you guys, Manchester, did y'all just go to working with the county tax commissioner to do your tax bills?
Not for free.
Not for free.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like a head to it.
No, it's not, but it's cheaper than what you were doing it for.
It will be cheap.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's not free, because it's not free for any of us, but it's at a reduced cost, so it does save your taxpayers.
I'm aware that, this, I'm just over here, this first time I've been through this in
Right.
9 years, and it's done prior to that, and I saw the sales tax that we're speaking of, you know that you have the percentages, and the dollars we're talking about that's generated inside the city limits. For example, you said you come into Lucasville and you come into Greenville, but it has to be, by and large, that money is coming from the 7 cities represented by a landslide, I would think, to the county. Would that be correct?
Well, I would say that, let me just say this, because revenue.
Have somewhere where you live, you incorporate to go buy this stuff that you come in town.
Yeah, or I could just bypass and go to another city.
Which is most of a lot of people, too many people, particularly in the areas up in this part.
That's right.
They absolutely do that.
absolutely, but I don't.
But
And a lot of other
I
people.
understand that, and I don't either, because you and I kind of understand why we don't.
Right.
Because we need to look out for our own.
Yes.
But the point being, so how much of this money in the evidently
Yeah.
the 40% that you want to give us is actually generated where we live, work, stress over,
Yeah.
keep businesses in
Uh-huh.
business by
Yeah.
having infrastructure,
Well,
fire protection,
yeah.
recreation, whatever you want to call it, that want people to attract to our cities.
Well, all right. I will say this. Number one, Department of Revenue won't give you the breakdowns on that. Number
It
two,
has to be, we all be in agreement that
yeah,
it's
well,
astronomical.
well, I'm just saying that they won't give you those numbers, but I will agree that most of the commercial is in the cities. Okay, that's the way it is everywhere. But I'll also agree that if you drew a circle around your city and you said, okay, we're going to generate our revenue, and remember, this is for the taxpayers. So we're just going to take that revenue that people inside our city spend, and we're going to forget that outside of it. Your city wouldn't generate anything like it does because other people come in there. And that's why when the unincorporated people come in and they buy products, this is designed to be able to help them as well. So if you just gave it based on that, then
No, I'm not really getting it on that. I'm saying that the cities inside this county have an attractiveness to their city because let's say if we didn't have a grocery store in Manchester.
Yeah.
Well, people in Lincoln Springs, who you're speaking of, come into our city, well, they could go to Thomaston all the time.
Yeah.
Or somewhere else.
That's right.
Or people in this area, let's say Woodbury, can have Ingles.
and that hurt all of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But these cities have the property, had the leadership, had the, whatever you want to call it, to attract these businesses and make these businesses where you know you're not gonna survive on, like you have us down for 3,800. I think we're doing it at an absolute terrible time if you're gonna base it on population, because I think we all know this census was left a lot to be desired. There are about probably 7 to 8 homes empty inside the city limits of Manchester.
Yeah.
I can tell you this, at any given time, there's never been less homes available inside our city limits than as we sit here today. Meaning, there might not be 4 or 5 children in those homes, but those homes are occupied. You cannot find a home. So, and we haven't, tore down a bunch of homes. You know, we've got the same number of homes. All I'm saying is they're occupied, so I gotta believe that 3,800 number is due to a lot of not being able to go out and knock on doors, for example, which was a huge part of the last census.
And see, that could be the truth all
And it
over.
costs us just as much to operate today.
Right.
As it did, of course, more. So
Yeah.
the county wants more money from the sales tax because it's costing you more money to operate your county, or our county. I should have said that, our county.
Yeah.
Well, just like in Manchester, we need more sales tax money because it's costing us more to operate our city. And one of the things I highlighted here, which you drew on, the only other option we're gonna have is 5 people sitting behind the podium up there. If we can't meet our budget, is we have to go pay property taxes. And that's not
so
fair
do
to
they.
anybody.
Right.
That's absolutely, nobody should have to pay more in property taxes to supply a service to our citizens that, if you don't own property. In other words, we'll take some of that, I'll take some of that, but you don't pay anything in it.
Well, see, here's the same thing with that, and I agree with you. No one wants to raise property tax. These folks don't want to raise property tax either. And if they don't get a fair share of this, they're going to have to raise property taxes, just like you guys are. And so this tax is designed to be able to help relieve the taxpayers. Yes, it's generated majority in the cities. I do not disagree with that. But if you took away the revenue, if the revenue department could tell us, okay, this amount is generated inside the cities. The next question I would ask is, how many of that comes from city residents? The city, what happens with real estate and why grocery stores and all come is generally population. What happens when you have a concentration of population, commercial establishments will come. I'll give you a example in Coweta County, Sharpsburg. Sharpsburg is a little town. I mean, it fit within this room here almost in terms of its population, but in terms of its address, and it's all over the place. But you have pockets of people near Thomas Crossroads and out near Peachtree City that are unincorporated, but grocery stores and all these things have cropped up there just because of the population percentage. They're gonna come where the people are. So,
Just because there's a decrease in population, no matter if it's a city, no matter if it's a county, that amount of property still remains.
yes,
There is taxes due on that amount of property, no matter what. If somebody leaves here, if they bank forecloses on it, somebody's got to pay for it. So what this particular one does is decreases or stops from an increase of property tax. So we all suffer when we lose because the amount of property doesn't change. It's still there.
And certainly I agree with that.
yeah,
What I'm saying though is, and I think we're missing a big point here, I understand about the addresses, because every time they have a big drug problem out by the cemetery, guess what? The front page says Manchester man
Yeah.
arrested for this.
Yeah.
Guess what? He lives 3-4 miles from our city limits.
right,
He doesn't live in Manchester, doesn't mean we don't have something to do, but
Right.
I'm saying, we
Yeah.
understand that you got the zip codes and the
Right.
addresses
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
But if it's gonna cost the county more to operate the county, it's gonna cost the cities more to operate our cities, because we
Agree.
provide things, obviously, let's just say, well, in fact, a good one for us to help with the county is our fire department.
uh-huh,
You know, we just, and I, Warm Springs, I'm pretty sure was glad we was there back a year or so ago. But we were at intergovernmental agreement, and we can send a protection class 3 fire department outside our city limits to go help those people in Warm Springs, by the way, that we're speaking of here.
Yeah.
To get, when the bell rings, our fire department's gone, whereas in Cleveland Springs, they have to probably wait for somebody to get there, to get on the truck and then take off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's an advantage. We spent, I think our budget for our fire department's, between $550,000 and $600,000 a year. So somebody's footing that bill, and that's the city of Manchester, but we're able to help the county now.
Yeah.
And I think it's a huge help to our surrounding area, to those people that you speak of that come
Yeah.
in and help drive up our sales tax, which they do,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. But again, I will say, there are lots of cities in this in this state, and you don't have to go much further than Talbot County. They let it dry up, they let it go away, if whatever happens.
Yeah.
It's not there, so they can't collect sales tax to the people because it's not there.
Right.
For the city of Manchester, obviously, and they got plenty of people down there, they got more people that they can draw from than we do, population wise. But if it's not run right, if it's not governed right, if you don't have the services to provide, for business to be attracted to stay and the traffic.
Right.
Then none of us gonna collect sales tax.
yeah.
Mr. Gay,
I
let me ask
agree.
you this, let me say this and you clarify it for me, because I hadn't been on these negotiations. So this is to decrease the property tax for county, for city,
Right.
and citizens.
Yes.
So
Is that right? He said property tax there.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
this
property
particular
tax
one,
roll.
and let me finish, so it'll say, so this local option sales tax, the lost, is used so that the cities and the county do not have to increase. This amount collected cannot exceed the amount that would be for an increase on those property taxes. So if you have 2%, if this equals 2%, then what you get cannot be more than that 2% or 2 millage, let me say 2 mills. So if it was 2 mills, and this decreases your city by 2 mills, then you cannot collect any more in your city than what it decreases your millage rate by. Same with us. So it doesn't matter about population, really. You just cannot collect. And if the cities, if this entire county, cities and everybody get $100 million in property tax over this period, we don't get it. We only get the percentage that is decreased in the millage rate to save the taxpayers. That's it. So we can generate $100 million in taxes, but we only get that percentage that decreased by millage rate.
And you have to levy a tax, city has to levy a tax to be able to even utilize this. And I know there's some that not necessarily this county, but there's some in other locations who don't levy a tax. They live off other revenues or whatever. But I mean, what we're trying to do here is to come up with a fair way. This, we've got SPLOST, we split SPLOST on population. We split T-SPLOST on population. And on this, we're understanding, Mayor, about that. I mean, you have more traffic coming in during the day.
And see, the
Well-
state looks at that as being irrelevant. The state looks at that as being irrelevant. Yeah, I mean, you could set up 500 carnivals in your city and all these people come in and it produces money, it's irrelevant because it's based on the percentage of millage rate that you can decrease on the tax bill for the current citizens, not for anybody coming in.
And
I
the,
understand that fully, but that's also addressed in the book, which we don't have to deal with, because a lot of towns generate these carnival atmosphere,
Right.
like what it talks about, that you gotta take that into consideration when you're talking about splitting up your sales tax, because while you may not have a huge population or a lot of retail, you may bring in tons of money every weekend with these different festivals and things, which we don't, other than, I guess, the A has a tremendous.
Oh, yeah.
Twice a year to sales tax for the, that would be as close as we have in this county.
Right.
And, well, the other part is, yes, the south end down there, they got nothing else until they go to Columbus. So we draw a lot from obviously even Cobb County.
right,
And we've got some things working, as most people know, it's gonna increase,
Yeah.
Things even a lot more, so a 10-year period, I mean, that's a pretty long time, and there's no renegotiation, if population changes, for example, which is going to.
Yeah.
But it's gonna change in the county too.
Do it.
It's gonna change in the county too. We have a tremendous amount of subdivisions that are looking to go in. Every day we see that. And let me use another example. I'll use Newland County to County. Newland is there's so much traffic there every day. Okay, if you went on percentage of what product is sold, and just where the sale is generated, you could come in and demand probably 50-60% of the sales tax. But that's not the way this is designed to be calculated, because it is to help all the citizens of the county. And those grocery stores, while they're located in the city, are also located in the county, and county residents shop for it. So the county understands that you have the traffic coming in. They come in on county roads that we have to maintain, or state routes. And we all have a lot of expenses to do that. You mentioned the fire department, but I think we come in and help you guys if you need help as well, and with mutual aid. So, we feel like it's fair to give the cities a little bit more. That's what we're proposing. But I don't feel like it would be fair for the county to give away their representation of the unincorporated citizens too, because we make up a lot of the success of the grocery stores and other things. This weekend I'm in Woodbury buying stuff. I bought stuff in Luthersville. I bought stuff in Greenville. And I live up on the northern end of the county, so I could flip up to Coweta and buy it just as easy.
Where most of your neighbors are from.
I don't know.
Don't be around the bush.
Yeah.
You're doing it for a
Yeah.
different reason, because you have responsibility and an obligation.
Yeah.
And you understand how the system works.
But I would bet you that there's more than you would think that would do that. Most of the people where I live have been there for a while.
That do the quick stuff. Shopping, big stuff, I would bet there's more going the other way.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of people in this room that do the same thing. Just because some places you can't get. So,
And to be honest, there's people in the entire county, cities included, myself for one, we travel outside of the county to work. There are not a huge amount of jobs for certain professions within our county. So, and I'm guilty of it, but I do try to buy in Manchester as much as I can. But as much as I travel, Mike, I'm putting $300 a week in gas in my car as much as I travel. So saying that, it's easier for me to stop on the way back, and sometimes I have to, than it is to do that. But if we had more jobs that fit every area of work, we would never have to go anywhere.
you can stay at home and do that work.
Right.
I think there's something else here too that may be the Achilles heel, and I'm surprised Ms. Rosela hadn't jumped in there with this. How well are these sales tax dollars being apportioned back to the county? Quite a number of our citizens actually have zip codes that they share with the adjoining county. Lone Oak, a lot of that's Hogansville address over there. Sonoa, up toward the upper end of the county. How well is the state really apportioning that money back to us? If they're using zip code, I don't know.
I'll jump in there since you brought me
Go
out.
for it,
but-
Rosa.
The class that I just recently took down in Pine Mountain, ACCG, it was brought out that especially Amazon, when the sales tax started being instituted on your computer sales, everybody's doing online sales, or seems to be, but the monies that are being collected, they go to the zip code. They do not go to the home address. So you've got, in Meriwether County, you've got Sonoya, Hogansville, the Grantville, Pine Mountain, at least 4 that will go to your surrounding counties. And it was proposed that we need to push legislation through, the state to ask that it be address-based. That way you would get your sales tax. And I know Mr. Bill and I, when I asked him, we had, and help me out, Mr. Bill, on the sales tax increase, there was an increase in the last 2 years, but I don't remember the dollar figure. But if we're losing based on that, then we need to be addressing it, but it's got to be legislation changed at the state level. And they also did bring out, there's no way Department of Revenue is going to release the tax dollar information that's collected from cities within the counties. So maybe that's another area we need to address, because you look at total sales taking place in your county, that's going to be kind of hard to gather that information. You may have some areas that would be higher than others, but it would be totally unfair to say, because you can't go back to the data. The Department of Revenue is not going to release it at this time. So I don't know if that helps or not, but with that being said, I think if we jointly go to our legislators and ask them, the House as well as the Senate, let's do something about it, because we've got at least 4 zip codes in this county, and you stop and look at the coverage. A lot of the coverage on the north end of the county, Sonoya, Grantville, and Hogansville, that's where your growth is taking place. And all that revenue is going to the either Troop, Coweta counties.
But I just don't think any city government is anxious to take a decrease in our sales tax revenue. Now, I know there's been a lot of conversation amongst the groups, as you know, some of it, as you pointed out earlier, was misinformation.
Right, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
But maybe the population is what you consider the fairest thing. I don't think the population is accurate. I just don't believe that. And I think it's just an awful time to try to switch it.
What other option would you consider?
Well, I would consider leaving it like it was, so nobody, nothing is gonna cost these cities less today, just like nothing's gonna cost the county. When you have to put fuel in your vehicles to park on roads or do whatever,
Yeah.
you're paying the same thing we're paying to have a utility department and run and do that sort of thing with it. I just don't know that just saying that, having, this as a system and cutting out, whatever, like in our case, I guess it'd be close to 3%, is that right?
Well, no, we were willing to go back up and do, we were willing to add 15% to it. So you would go from 21.9 down to, right,
19.99.
19.99.
So
Like,
2%.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
so we're over 10 years. We're not,
Yes.
okay,
But-
12 months, let's reconvene here
Yeah.
and see where we are.
But you're not gonna be talking about today's dollars 10 years from now either. You're gonna have an increase.
Let me just throw this out there. Let me throw this out there.
Understood.
Is the county in cities, or is the city in the county?
Do I mean?
Is the county in the cities, or are the cities in the county?
Is this a river?
No, I'm asking a simple question. Are the cities in the county, or is the county in the cities?
Well,
All cities are in the county.
absolutely.
So if we encompass everything, we could take 100%. But what I'm saying is, because every city is in the county, we're not in the cities. So we have to look at it that way, and we're giving up a big percentage too. We don't want to take away from anything. If we could give everybody exactly what they wanted, we would. But we're taking a 5-point-something% loss, but we also need to look at the entire picture, that
No,
The
No,
county
that is not
encompasses
based on
every city.
population.
it's not based
That
on
is not based on
population.
population.
If we based it on population, we'd be gaining dollars. We're taking population and giving 15% away. But let me throw out this scenario. And I know that Mayor Cuddy had a question too. Luthersville being, because what we're seeing from the county's perspective is a lot of growth is in that northern area there, okay? Let's just say that Luthersville grows to be the biggest city in the county, okay? How would they feel about, well, let's just keep it like it is, we can't use population? I think they would probably say, hey, look, we deserve a bigger portion of this because we're now the largest city. The cities can't just continuously take that away from the county because the county residents deserve that cutback as well. You've got to have some measurable device or measurable numbers to start with. I don't know whether the census numbers are right or not. I don't know. They may not be. I have serious doubts, but I have serious doubts about all the census things. But it's a number we all have, and it's a measurable unit that we can start with. Now, we didn't come in and say, well, let's just use strictly this. We come in and we said, we realize that the cities generate some, revenue. We realize there's traffic. We realize these other things. But when that comes into your city, it also helps your tax base. It helps, your sales tax, etc. And we're willing to give away like 15% of that, 15% more to add to all the cities. Each city will get their population plus 15%. And the people that are losing in the overall thing are the county. I mean, we're taking a 5+% cut to be able to provide that to the cities out of recognition of that, not just leave it as population. So I understand, what you're saying, and I agree with you. But the unfortunate thing is, whether the census is right or not, is Manchester took a pretty big hit in terms of population, and I don't know why, but you.
I tell you what, there's more than 3,800 people inside the city limits
Yeah.
of Manchester.
I agree.
Right, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I do.
That's absolutely a ridiculous number.
See, they had you at
Well, we got 1,000 people in 2 apartment complexes.
I don't know. I mean, it was 4230. We that's what it showed, and it was 3584. But it dropped for the only 3 cities that showed any positive was Gay, Lone Oak, and I think Warren Springs. Everybody else lost, including the county. So, I mean, that's why we chose this population as the beginning conversation.
But like I said, we picked a bad time to use population for our city.
I understand.
When I saw that number on here, that is absolutely not even close.
But see, that's not our number.
No, I understand.
It's
I
not
didn't say
our
it was. I just meant the way we had to go about getting that number this.
Yeah.
And now doing that.
Look, I'll tell you, the amount of growth that we've had in the county over the past 2 or 3 years. And Kathy used to give us all these printouts that had everything on it. It was amazing, all the houses built. But we lost
Yeah, we lost 2.
like 900 and something people in the county, if you look at it. It's crazy. There's no way we did.
There's no way. Again, we're picking a bad time.
Yeah.
To set the cities for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Based on population.
Well-
Because the census is it's just not correct.
And I don't think it's correct out of the county.
It's like, right, I mean, housing, the number of houses that you're speaking of, this building, up on the northern end of the county.
Right.
There's no way, it's not like the other houses they tore down
Right.
and moved in, those houses are occupied too.
That's right.
Well, and the unfortunate thing with the census is it not only impacts here, but it is from the federal level, from the state level. Any kind of grants, any kind of funding that we receive are based on these numbers, even if they are not factual. So, I mean, we get hit with that from so many different directions, but this is the record, and this is what so many funding sources rely on.
And I think they undercounted the cities, but I also think they undercounted the counties, because like you said, all those houses that have been built here didn't show up on the census. Mayor Cuddy, I know you had a question.
No, I don't necessarily have a question, but I do want to follow on what Mike has said here, and I just say that the city of was adamant that he would like to leave it the way it is, 60/40. The explanation here is, let me just get a sidebar. You'll understand that taxable dollars spent in Manchester, so that is valuable to the city of Lucasville as a taxable dollar spent in Lucasville. For every $1,000 that is taxable dollars spent in the county, 8% goes back to the state. That's $80. 40 of that comes back to the county. 10 is lost, 10 is SPOS. I know T-SPOS has some machinations to it, but let's just say 10 is T-SPOS and 10 is E-SPOS. So what we're talking about is that $10 out of every 1,000 taxable dollars spent in the county. Right now, today, the city of Lucasville is 45 cents. And we would like to not see that decrease. Keep in mind, too, that much of what we are doing in the city, I'm speaking uniquely for us right now, has been done of our own volition. We don't require any additional roadways, we're not requiring any additional construction from the county. And we have a ready-mix plant that is about to open. Right now, today, we know it's going to be a year from now. Right now, today, about 93% of the revenue generated by our company is going to be outside the county. So it's not going to be county residents paying these sales taxes. It will be people outside the county collected by a county corporation. And shared by the rest of the county. But nonetheless, city council has met, our city council has met, we've gone through this, not using so much the percentages you're talking about, but rather dollars and cents. And we would like to see it remain at 63.
Yeah, I understand that, and I know you have advised us of that up front. I don't think you could start out and say, well, it's going to use dollars, let's just use dollars. We also just spent $2 million on improvements to a county road, and you partnered with us and spent money too, to get residents into the city of Lucasville. That is coming from outside, it is coming from the county's share split of the T-SPLOS. So we all work together to get there. And I would say this, the county can't be successful without you guys. But you know what? You can't be successful without us either. You need the unincorporated residents to buy. They don't all buy, but a lot do. And all of that comes back into play. And those unincorporated residents deserve a portion of that too. Now, if you left it just like it was, we don't do any redistribution, say we're going to sign it off just like it was in 2012. You got 3 cities who not going to like that because they're going to get less than they will get under this proposal.
So how does those cities get?
They grew.
They grew by.
They grew.
You got Warm Springs? Is that right?
Warm Springs grew.
Then how many they grew by?
They went from 425 to 465.
Oh, I mean, Sarah, they wouldn't lose anything.
If you left it the same,
They're a larger percentage of the 40%.
You would have
which
to-
means they would get additional funds.
But not if you don't change the formula. You know, if you're proposing not changing the formula, they would stay at 2.22 versus going up to 2.25.
leave the formula the same, they're going to lose money.
I forget the exact number, but it's about 67 something that resides inside the city's current census. You just take the percentage, whatever A is today, 110.
Yeah.
Over 67, whatever the population is.
Right.
And that's the
And,
percentage.
and you can recalculate it based on the subgroup of
Right,
the
you're
city
taking
population.
40% and dividing it up amongst the 8 cities, based on their state, because you have to know.
But
And you divide, you're just taking that 40% and splitting it up amongst the 8 cities, this time based on their population.
well, what is to say you couldn't do that with a 38.51% that we're talking about?
With any number, but
Right.
we're advocating for leaving the distribution.
understand.
at 64.
And my note is that there's a bigger percentage of the population in the county, and they deserve their fair share of the loss as well. That's my position there from the county's perspective. Let's be fair, but we can't be more than fair. We're already giving away dollars. We're already giving away to give the counties each a 15%.
And understand, because all the people living within the incorporated city limits that pay property tax to the county, this benefits those individuals inside the cities too, as far as the county tax on the millage rate.
Well, if you leave it the way it is, nobody's gonna see any increase or decrease. Towards property tax.
Well,
necessarily.
If you take the entire amount of the county and you put in what we could collect for the property tax on every parcel in this county, we cannot exceed that no matter what. So we're giving the break to the people in the city on their county taxes, as you guys are giving a break on your city taxes. So it's really across the board. This isn't like a T-splost or something like that. It is based on that. We're still giving the same percentage rate discount on the millage rate, no matter what. Whether it's 80%, 20%, 60%, 40%, the citizens are who we have to look at, not the cities benefiting from use of it, but the taxpayers themselves are getting the break from this. So 100% is 100%, the entire county area.
And I understand the city's not wanting to lose. I understand that. And as Chairman Trigger said earlier, I wish we had all this money that we could just give everybody exactly what they need. And our issue is just trying to be fair with it. And the citizens of the unincorporated area deserve that consideration well, because this is not to go back and pay for a project you want to do. This is to reduce your taxes. Reduce the taxes that come out that all the property owners have to pay. And the people in unincorporated need that reduction as well. I understand leaving it like it is right now. No one's going to see any difference in it. But again, is that fair? If the county continues to grow and we have continue to grow in our percentage of population, and we continue to do this, we're continuing to mistreat and take away. Right now, the cities will be taking away more from the unincorporated citizens if we go back to that city 60%.
Mayor Moody.
Yes, I have a question. I know in Woodbury, there is a need for, well, there's no housing period. And so it's based on population, and my thing is that I wanted to incorporate some housing. So over the next 5 years, or, more apartments or townhouses, whatever. So we grow by an exponential amount, say for instance, 100 houses or 200 houses. Would we be losing if our population grows and then we don't get any additional?
We're using population.
And those additional houses would actually, the county would actually make money off of every county or every city that's in new development. So then that need for extra taxes, would that be kind of reduced a little bit if there's more housing?
In a different scenario, yes. In this particular scenario, and I'll try to say it again, the purpose of this is to allow the cities and county to decrease or maintain a lower tax amount by millage rate to this. So it's not to increase your population, it's not to increase housing, it's not anything except this provides the cities who tax their citizens and the county who taxes those citizens inside the cities and in the unincorporated. It allows us to maintain a lower millage rate so that the taxes remain lower for them. This is across the board. If we give, say if we did 50-50, we took 50% and y'all took 50%, well, we may have to increase our millage rate to the taxpayers for county, which is going to increase the people in your cities' taxes for the county, because this is to maintain a lower millage rate to benefit the citizens, not to benefit the county or not to benefit the cities, but the taxpayers themselves. So across the board, no matter what we do, we just need to look at it. We're all 100% together. And what this is going to do is to keep our citizens' taxes lower, no matter what.
So we'll definitely keep the counties outside, but if we have to go on property taxes in our city, that's not gonna affect the county. In other words, if we lose X amount of dollars over this proposal over the next 2 years, and our budget is $7.6 million, well, now we're gonna fall short. You know, we're gonna have to figure out a way.
But it does affect us, Mike. If you get a higher percentage in your
If
city,
you raise taxes on a home in the county.
it's gonna affect your people in there
But
too.
if we raise taxes in the city, you know, our city tax is going up, but.
Right, but what I'm saying, that's right. What you do doesn't affect us to a point, but what we have to do affects every person within the city limits. So that's what I'm saying. If we don't get a percentage to be able to maintain a certain millage rate for county taxes, which includes every citizen inside, every property tax owner inside of every city, then we would increase those county taxes and it would increase the people in your city's taxes, period. So if we do it this way, it's going to let y'all keep your taxes at a certain level that,
Go up on tax.
right, but it also allows us to maintain county taxes at a certain level without increases.
You're sitting there as a county representative.
But I'm saying it for the city too.
Huh?
But I'm saying it for the city too.
Right, but I'm just saying, if you go up on your taxes, that's every house in town.
Right.
If we go up on city taxes, that's just the houses in our city.
Right.
Which-
So you see what I'm saying?
Which
I mean,
that-
No, that's exactly what I said, because if we take a lower percentage of this and we increase it, every single property owner in this county will be affected. If we take it and we can maintain our millage rate, then nobody in the county, as far as their taxes, will increase.
in the county,
but-
But here's the,
millage rate might be affected.
but here's the thing with
Our
that.
millage rate might be.
But understand this,
will be affected.
I don't think I'm getting it through.
Well, the
So,
city.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
It may affect a city to where they have to increase a minimal amount. So it may increase everybody in your city by $15 on their taxes. All right, if we do it, it's probably going to increase, it will increase every single citizen taxpayer in this county, property owner, by that amount. So we're affecting every citizen in this county that owns property. If it is the cities, y'all might have to increase it maybe $15 per year to equal it out, but at least the county can maintain theirs here and it won't increase every single person in this county.
And here's another thing with that. If we take it away from the unincorporated area to subsidize city more than their, what county may consider their fair share, then no, you don't have to go up on taxes, but you know who's subsidizing that? The unincorporated citizens and the citizens from some of the other counties. So if you get a greater percentage, and you don't have to raise those taxes, the reason may very well be that the people living in the unincorporated are subsidizing that. And that, again, is not fair. It's not fair to the unincorporated person. Let me try to explain that better. All right, because back on what you said, all right, if we lose, we may have to go up on tax.
And if we lose, we gotta go up on.
Yeah, well, I'm
So, I mean,
talking
that's
about
just
you
wash.
guys. I'm talking about you guys.
Yeah,
All right,
we lose.
if you lose, you have to go up on tax, okay? The only way for you to not lose is for somebody to give you more money. That
Not
somebody,
more money, just the same money.
yeah, well, but you've lost in
Not more money.
population. You've lost in population, okay?
And so you-
So if you get more money, then that means somebody gets less money. And that's gonna be the county. And so in reality, you will have the county citizens subsidizing,
Well,
the
the
city.
same roads that you maintain to come into the city, and
Yeah.
that's from the city of Greenville, we maintain, we just spent $1.7 million on roads inside the city
Yeah.
limits. No help from the county, nobody, that was just our money,
Understand.
$1.7 million. So you got the roads into the city,
Yeah.
the state does, one of the two.
Yeah,
And then we gotta maintain all those roads in there, and that was only, I think we did 10 roads.
Yeah.
And they wasn't miles long, they were just $1.7 million bar paving cut in there to maintain those roads from that traffic, some of it from outside the city limits, because they're coming in to buy, shop, whatever they wanna do.
well, last week, we calculated the roads that we need to do the full depth reclamation on, and we come in at over $40 million. Seriously, it's like, well, I don't know where we're gonna get $40 million. I mean, that's,
Oh,
I mean,
we
that's,
did every road in the city. We
Yeah.
had a company come in, they redid it. We got
Yeah.
a list from the worst road in the city
Right.
to the best.
yeah,
And if we redid them all, it was, of course, that was a year and a half ago, that's
Yeah.
astronomical. So
That
we-
is
we- we
astronomical.
certainly-
Let me say this, because we're going on an hour now, but I think we are still missing the point that it is not the city, it is not the county, it is the taxpayer is the purpose behind this whole thing. It's not what roads we can do, it's not what, anything we can do, huh? I know, but I'm just saying, we keep going around in a circle, it seems like to me. And we need to think about the citizens who pay the taxes.
And I think we
Part
all,
of it is, Brian, we are thinking about it.
yeah, we're thinking about you're thinking about it from a county level, and that's your job, I agree with that.
I'm thinking about it as a city that may lose a percentage that could possibly affect the millage rate. It doesn't have to, it depends. I mean, it could stay the same with a 2% loss. Your millage rate can remain the same, and you can still maintain that low millage rate, not have to increase a tax for your city. But if we take a lower percentage rate and it does not keep at the same millage rate, say if we lose 2 mills because of what we lose out on with that 60-40 split, then guess what? Every citizen, every taxpayer in this county is affected. So that's where we're coming from. We're not trying to gain money. We're just trying to keep it across the board from having to raise every property owner's taxes throughout the county, including the cities.
I think we're all in agreement with that.
Right.
I think what we're looking at, you're looking at from one perspective, we're trying to say we're here to represent our cities.
Right.
And so we're doing the same. If I was sitting in that chair, I'd say the same thing if we were in the city of Manchester. What we want to do is protect the 3 or 4 miles radius we have, because we don't want property taxes to go up, and we don't want so. And again, I think this is important to emphasize. We're talking 10 years. We're not being able to come back here in this room 6, 8 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, and say, well, look, man, things are going really good, things are really going bad. We're talking about making a decision for 10 years and 2%. Who knows how much money that is to us?
Let me ask this
Yeah.
question, Brian Frederick. How are we gaining or losing if we leave things the way they are? Because we're not talking.
Okay,
We're talking about sales tax.
It's a sales tax, but this sales tax affects your property tax.
Yes, it does, but are you suggesting that based on our population, sales are going to go down?
No, what I'm saying is, if we stay at the 60-40, and okay, but let me finish. You asked me a question, I'll answer it. If we go to the 60-40, and the county loses $1 million in sales tax that we would get through this local option sales tax, that $1 million, you have to divide that by how much a mill is. That's a loss for the county. If that's 5 mills for the county, which it's not, but if it were 5 mills that we lose, then for that, we would have to increase, for instance, and we're not going to, increase the county taxpayer millage by 5 mills, which would increase every single property owner throughout the entire county by 5 mills.
I think the weakness in your argument is you keep referring back to the loss in sales tax. When you look at the increase in the business.
I didn't say a loss in sales tax. I said,
Yeah, you said $1 million.
That's a loss.
no, by percentage of what we get. We cannot collect, like I said in the beginning, we can't collect any more. If y'all cut 2%, or if we cut 2.5 mills, we cannot collect any more by state law than what 2.5 mills would be for the county. So if we're decreasing each county parcel by 2.5 mills, the state says you can't collect any more than that percentage across the entire county.
It's sales tax.
It is a sales tax, yes, but did you read it? Because that's what it says.
But I mean, what I don't, and bear on that argument, I mean, I understand what you're saying. We leave it the same. But then we have a greater population base to serve on the same percentage we got 10 years ago.
But you have fewer people.
No, we don't have fewer people. You have fewer people than we do. We actually have fewer people, but our percentage of the overall increased. So that is more,
But
okay?
you have fewer people to
It's-
take care of.
Well,
But
no,
overall,
not-
it
not
increased
percentage-wise.
because of the decrease in the city. I'd like to speak for a second. I live in a city, not in this county, but I do live in a city. And the reason I live in a city is because of a higher level of service. But on my tax bill, I have city taxes and county taxes. Exactly. So my question to everyone in a city is, you offer a higher level of service being a city, correct? And that's what the city is responsible for. Is it fair to take more from the unincorporated county, because there's still an unincorporated county tax on that city bill, So by doing that, you're going to increase the city portion, but decrease the county portion. That citizen is still gonna fill it. Because in the end, lost is to help with property tax.
But you keep saying, excuse me, you keep saying increase, decrease. We're suggesting leaving it the same.
Yeah, and I understand that, but you guys dropped in population as well. So we're gonna serve a lesser population and we're
Well,
gonna
you
get
might be
more
at this
money.
point in time, but do you remember 2008? Do you remember COVID? A lot of things can change very quickly, although everything might be going really smooth at this point in time. Doesn't mean 6 months from now, we're going to experience the same thing. This could be very bad for everyone, regardless of the percentage.
Just a little bit, you're talking about the city tax, when we pay our city taxes in the city I live in, we're funding the fire department for about $600,000. We're funding a police department for well over $1 million. We're funding our own utilities department, we just spent $4.5 million on a reservoir, plus now we got another $1 million worth of work too. So the county, for example, and we pay county taxes, and we understand that, but what services do you provide for the county, for the city, that are more expensive than that? to
Well,
the city of
that's what I was
Nashville, for
saying. When you live in a city,
example? Right, we pay
especially,
that, though. That's not a good offer.
no,
But
you
pay it
offer a
reward.
higher level of service. That's what your taxpayers pay
Right,
for.
but that line
I
is a
live in
wash,
the,
because we pay that as the citizens of the town, like Farron, he just gets the tax bill, he's got the county tax and school board tax. I get a tax bill, it's got the county tax, school tax, and the city tax. So
As well as
with that
myself.
city tax, we take.
and I do that because I know that I'm going to have faster response time from the police department in the city, because it is that higher level of service.
It doesn't have anything to do.
No, but it does. Because during service delivery strategy, you are able to claim more in one area than the other because you offer a higher level of service. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know, I'm gonna tell you this, we definitely have a higher level of service, and we definitely choose to live in the city. And with that, we know that we're gonna pay taxes to have offset some of the costs that it costs to run that. If we're talking about sales tax and trying to generate sales tax, which helps keep those city taxes down along with, all other sorts of cutting budgets and departments and things like that. So we're talking a 2% loss for the city of Manchester over 10 years. Nobody in this room knows how much money that is. Nobody. We can't figure that out. And again, it's not a short-term deal we're working on here. We're negotiating for a decade.
Yeah, I understand that.
Renegotiate loss.
Yeah, you can. You can come back in if you wanted to and do that, but still you need some numbers to verify.
That's what we're missing, I think, here. We're looking at solely the population, and we keep going back and forth, but I think we need more data in front of us to actually make it for
What extra data do you need?
revenue and what the cities are paying for those services.
Well, that is, but I mean, we're all.
But that's not what it was
that's not even
designed
what we're
for.
talking about.
Right, but what everybody's arguing about, we're just throwing numbers and words back and forth when we have nothing actually.
Well, and that's what the
Yeah, we
state
do.
does. The state
have a
does
lot of
not break
concrete.
it down as to what was collected in the cities versus the incorporated.
Let's stay on track.
Numbers, we're talking about 2195, 1995, and that's a 2 digits, okay? But if you do the math, that works out to 9%. So that's a 9% decrease in sales tax. Split to Manchester based on the scenario that y'all have outlined. And that will result in our tax bill in Manchester, I believe.
But if you did it with just pure population, what would it be? We're talking population plus giving you 15%,
Not using your numbers at the 9%.
9%.
It's gonna be a 9% decrease.
That's about
Local option.
Yeah, we understand that, but I mean, it's, there again, we didn't make up the numbers. The numbers came from somewhere else. And the issue with this that we want to be is fairness. Let's be fair to the cities, but let's be fair to the county as well. And I don't think that you can take, if you're a city and you've lost population, I don't think you can say, I want the same thing I had years ago because, county, you just give it to me. Yeah, I mean, we gotta be fair with it.
Right, right, and be completely fair, going back to what you said earlier, those stores in our city, for example, would not be there if we're not those county people coming in.
That's right, that's right.
So we're providing services, places where people can come in a open place that, to generate.
But you get tax revenue off of that from property taxes, you're getting extra things. And the citizens that come in there and shop, if we said, hey, no, we're gonna take all the revenue away and we'll just use the revenue generated within the city, you wouldn't make it. Those stores wouldn't.
Let's
make
stop. We don't have a quorum.
it. I mean, Mr. Chairman, I really don't
Well,
have.
we have to stop discussion. We don't have a quorum.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I got some numbers. I got to get to Beverly too. I almost got them.
But we have 60 days to negotiate this. from
Yeah, we
start.
have 60 days. We probably need to sit down and do
Start
something.
to the job.
Yeah.
How about if Brian, let me make a suggestion.
Okay, just note if you do.
Can I ask a question? How much sales tax, sales tax is generated in the county line?
I don't know, because the county's portion comes to the county, the cities receive their own portion, so I don't know how much the total is.
How much do you get? I can do that.
I don't know, I'm saying 110, this is splosh.
Those are my hours, certainly. Beverly just have those out. Mr. Chairman, we're gonna renegotiate. I take everything off the table except population. Start back over.
All right, let's start back with the meetings and they'll have a quorum.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know. I mean, we haven't heard much. We have a little bit. We haven't heard from Lone Oak on how they feel. I don't know that we're gonna gather a lot more agreement today. We may all need to go back and think about it, look it over, consider it. And I think if the cities want to renegotiate, then we take our 15% off the table and let's go back and we'll start out renegotiation based on just the percentage population, and we'll negotiate from there. I mean, we were trying to reach out and help everybody with that, but you know, if we're gonna have to go down and renegotiate, I'd just go back to population percentage. But I think, you know, we need to go ahead and set another time and for meeting, and maybe it would be good while the cities are here to do that. But
We know the amount that we can collect.
I'll get some revenue numbers where we can look at. You're really not supposed to look at it from a standpoint of what we generate or whatever.
No, but I want to look at what the maximum amount we can do, because there is a maximum per state law that we can do based on the village that
You can't roll it back, I don't think, more than
Right,
what you can.
but if it's 10 million that we can collect across the board, then I think we need to take that 10 million, do the percentages that we have in place to determine what each city, may gain or lose, to determine if it changes the millage for each entity, the city or the county. and then look at it on that way, because that's what it's based on, is the property tax.
Yes, it's based on reducing that.
Right.
I mean, I put some more numbers together, and I looked, I went last night and did some more scenarios, and I used the exact same percentages from last time around, going to the cities, and we ended up with, honestly, the cities did better with a 15%. But I'll put some more numbers together, and maybe the cities could come up with some ideas. I know we've had the 60-40 split, but let's put some numbers behind that to make for the justification of it. And then we just need to get back together. We got 60 days. Failing that, we'll go into mediation. And failing that, we'll all be increasing our millage rate. So that would be my recommendation.
Well, I'll say this. No matter what percentages we get, I will never vote to increase a county tax, period. So we have to look at that, but I do want to say something to Mayor Brennan. You said I'm looking at it from a county. I am, but I'm looking at it as a county as a whole, including all the cities. Because, like I said, and I know I've been told I'm repeating myself, but if we have to increase our millage on the county level, it affects every property tax person in this county.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
So it may be that with the percentage decrease in a city, that it may affect a $20,000 loss, which will not affect really the millage rate needed or the property tax. You could still maintain your millage rate in there. We would maintain ours, therefore the taxpayers actually come out on the good end. But if we take a bigger percentage cut, it's going to affect everybody. So I think that's where I'm looking at it, is I want the cities to do, but I don't want them to have to increase it, because I don't want them to have that property tax increase for their citizens. But I also don't want to do it as a whole and increase everybody's property tax. So that's where I'm coming from when I keep bringing up what I brought up.
Look, and I meant that as a compliment, by the way, that you come out. If I was sitting behind there, I'd be doing exactly what you're doing.
Right.
In your title. In my title, I'm trying to think about you say 3,800 people, I say that's.
No, I didn't say
I
that.
know.
That's what census
That
gave.
that we happen to have inside our city limits, and those people, I don't know how many homes we got, we have, on the tax records, we just talked about this, how many parcels, 2,600 parcels. So, you know, they all don't have houses on them, right. But, you know, we're thinking 2,000 pieces of 2,000 homes minimum, and that's not counting apartments and all that. And we've got, starting, November, 72 new senior citizen, mature homeowners, apartments being built, you know, that's gonna increase. And if people in our city move into those, whoever was living in, when that apartment becomes vacant, somebody's gonna move in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way it is. So, you know, I don't know how many people that's gonna be, but there's 75 of them. You gotta figure each one of them.
But if 200 people move in that one unit is taxed on one property. So the taxes that you're getting is based on that property, no matter if 10 move in or 200 move in.
Right, but I'm saying we're basing this on population. Right. So we're pretty sure by this time, certainly it ain't gonna take them all that long, but I mean, certainly by this time next year, I know that one tract of land is 14 acres is gonna have another, I would guess, 150, 200 people living in them. Yeah. That's 2 per house. So, and then we're talking, and that still leaves us 9 years that we negotiated on a loss based on population.
Yeah, but same token, we got a subdivision up here out, it's on Lucasville Road. It's gonna have 100 new homes in it. 100 new homes.
350 if everything,
Yeah.
you know that.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, 10 years from now is gonna make a world of change in our entire community, whether we like it or not. Things are gonna change. The other counties around us are getting very, expensive for one thing and dense for others. They're gonna come here, okay? We're already seeing that, everybody is. And so the demographics, the changes, I mean, it'll probably look, I'm not gonna be here to, deal with it, but yeah, I'm serious. Y'all stretch this into next year, I'm not gonna be here to deal with it either. But it'll change drastically between now and 10 years from now.
And look, Mike, no matter what we do, you're the only city that provides your own fire service. We provide it for everybody else, but we provide EMS for the entire city. For the entire county. So that's one thing that we provide to every citizen. The 911, it goes through our center. We provide,
If you went in my book, you'd see that highlight.
right, but I'm just saying, it's not gonna change on us as providing services inside the cities.
But I do think that's a good point.
And I didn't know I was gonna have to sit here today. She's out of town, so I wasn't really prepared. I'm reading it as we go, yeah.
She's got a good reason to be out of town.
We provide,
Go get her.
if a citizen inside your city calls 911 and they need an ambulance service, we provide that. The cities don't provide that. So that's a service that we provide to the cities. Well, in your city tax, the county part that goes to it, but we are providing that into a city. And then also there's some cities that we provide, the sheriff's department provides coverage that they don't have police departments.
And I was gonna ask that just now, because there are certain cities that get more benefits from the county than others. Would that be correct?
Say that again, Mike.
They pay for it. Fire is a separate tax. And the sheriff is actually the chief law enforcement officer. So if you guys call him, he'll come too.
At a lower rate.
Yeah.
My concern is, even though the
But-
population decreases,
You-
the
He
cost.
may be
Hold on a
way
minute.
up here.
Hold on, we got 3 conversations going on. Go ahead, Mayor Glover.
My concern is, even though our population may be decreased, services we are almost mandated to provide are increasing. So that cost is not gonna go down, whether I get 2%, 3%, or whatever. But at some point, if it takes, to increase the millage rate to provide those services, that's what we're gonna have to do. That's the part.
What I'll do for next meeting is I will go ahead and get some examples of the sales tax. We'll project based on today, we'll try to project based on history of where we're going. And we could see how
Can we not
long.
base it on the
take a slight
T-Splosh?
reduction it may take to make that.
Can we not base it on the T-Splosh and the SPOS, how much is coming in?
It's a little bit different, but we could, we'll use those as numbers to determine what it
Because
is.
I'm more of an actual numbers person than I am a percentage person, and I need to see it, and that's what we don't have in front of us. And I think if we bring that all back and say, this is what we're looking at, and here's where we are, it may take away all of this concern from every one of us, because it may be such a minute percentage that it really doesn't affect any of us.
We'll put that together. Do y'all want to talk about setting your next meeting, what with everybody here?
Are there any cities that have a suggestion on the next time for a meeting?
What would you guys want to do?
Not to wait so late to send us a notice about this. We didn't get this till today. Yesterday, I'm sorry.
Those were sent out last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was postmarked the 16th, but you know how the mail is.
Well, they were also sent.
They were
via
emailed
email.
also,
Yeah.
same
No, we
day.
didn't get an email.
I sent it to your email and also to the city clerk.
And I mentioned it to everybody when I was talking to them too.
Well, I think what we need to do, we can email it out to the cities, and then we need to follow up with a phone call, at least to the mayor or the city manager, just to make sure that they're aware of it, because they can inform everybody else in their meeting. So let's send it out like that, but let's don't depend on electronic. Let's make sure we do a verbal with each city and document it.
We want to try within the next week, or you want to wait 2 weeks, or after July the 4th? What do you want to do? Got 60 days.
I want to go with next week. Next week, if we can, would probably be better. Because even though we got 60 days, we're gonna chew into that pretty quick.
If we do like next week, can we do the latter part of the week?
Let me ask this, do we think we can have some numbers by then to look at?
We can have the numbers by then.
Okay. So what works for y'all? Would in next week work? Is it better mornings or better 4:30 or 5? That's a Friday.
Back it up to, what about the Thursday, the 30th?
June 30th work for everybody? That's next Thursday? 9 a.m.?
Yes.
Will that work? All right. So do I have a motion to set the next meeting for June 30th, 2022 at 9 a.m.?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Meeting 9 a.m., June 30th with cities and county. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, all in favor? Motion carries.